Hello everyone. Today we shall discuss about the last part of the image formation on cortex. So last time we had discussed about visual pathway and its lesions. Now we come to the remaining part, that is how the image is formed in the cortex. So after the impulse passes through the lateral geniculate nucleus, now we will discuss about lateral geniculate nucleus. Now this lateral geniculate nucleus or the lateral geniculate body, it lies in thalamus and it has two principal functions. Number one, it relays information to primary visual cortex via optic radiation, and secondly, it acts as a gate control of information to primary visual cortex. Next. Now, the lateral geniculate body or the lateral geniculate nucleus is divided into 6 layers, and layer 1, 4 and 6, as colored by yellow, receive the nasal fibers from the opposite eye, that is, they have a contralateral representation, and layers 2, 3 and 5 have a ipsilateral representation from the temporal side of the same eye. Then again layer 1 and 2 of the lateral geniculate body form the magnocellular pathway, and layer 3, 4 and 5, 6 form the parvocellular pathway. And this M pathway terminates in layer 4C alpha of the primary visual cortex, and the parvocellular pathway terminates in layer 4C beta of the primary visual cortex. Next. Now the processing which occurs in the visual cortex, as we know that the final binocular vision occurs in the visual cortex when it uses the image from the two retina. Signals from one eye enter every other column, alternating with the signals from the other eye. That is, there is formation of columns in the visual cortex, and every column has representation from one eye. Then the next column has the representation from the other eye, which results in formation of ocular dominance columns. Next. Now, mainly in the visual cortex, we have three areas. That is area number 17, 18 and 19. Brodmann's area 17, also known as B1, is the primary visual cortex, and it is situated above the calcarine sulcus and mainly covers the cingulate gyrus above and the lingual gyrus below. Then this area is again divided into zones for the peripheral retina and for the macula. Now the peripheral retina has less representation. There is upper peripheral quadrant of retina and a lower peripheral quadrant of retina. The macular fibers have a maximum representation, and again it is of upper quadrant of macula and lower quadrant of macula. Since macular fibers have maximum representation, therefore in the lesions of the visual cortex or the optic radiations, generally macula is spared. Next. Now the connections in the visual cortex. Now the visual cortex is divided into 6 layers like whole of the cerebral cortex, and the layer 4 is thickest, which is divided into layer 4A, layer 4B and layer 4C. Now the layer 4C is again divided into layer 4C alpha and beta. Now the magnocellular pathway from the lateral geniculate body, which are carrying fibers from the Y ganglion cells, project to layer 4C alpha, and then they project to layer 2 and 3. Now the parvocellular pathway from the lateral geniculate layers 3 to 6 which carry the fibers from retinal X ganglion cells terminate in layer 4C beta and 4 alpha. That is the superficial and deepest layers of layer 4. And then from here they send their representations into color blobs. Now these color blobs are represented and they are mainly for the color vision. Next. Now the visual perception is how you actually perceive the image, how you see the image. It is a creative process and it is mediated by parallel pathways that process information on motion, depth, form and color. Next. So the parallel processing. In the parallel processing, as we know, there are two pathways, P pathway and the M pathway, that is the parvocellular and the magnocellular. Now the magnocellular pathway is layer 1 and 2 of the lateral geniculate nucleus and the parvocellular is from layer 3 to 6. Now the magnocellular pathway, after terminating in layer 4C alpha, it moves upwards into layer 2, 3 and then finally it terminates in the parietal lobe to form the dorsal pathway. The parvocellular pathway, after terminating in layer 4 alpha and 4C beta and going into blobs and interblobs, finally ends in the inferior parietal cortex to form the ventral pathway. So mainly you have to remember that there are two parallel pathways. One is a dorsal pathway and the other is a ventral pathway. The dorsal pathway ends in the parietal lobe and the ventral pathway ends in the temporal lobe. The dorsal pathway is by the magnocellular pathway cells and the ventral pathway is by the parvocellular cells. Then again the magnocellular cells are mainly responsible for movement or the motion, then depth and form. Whereas the parvocellular pathway, which ends in the inferior temporal lobe and is responsible for forming ventral pathway, is responsible for color mainly and then the other details of the object like the form, texture, etc. So this is a summary again. The Y cells or the Y ganglion cells project to layers 1 and 2 of the lateral geniculate body and via magnocellular pathway and in superficial layer 4, that is 4C alpha, and they are for detection of movement, depth and flicker because they end in the parietal lobe and form the dorsal pathway. Now the fibers from the X ganglion cells end in layers 3 to 6 of the lateral geniculate body via parvocellular pathway project to the deeper layers of visual cortex and they are responsible for detection of color, shape and fine details of vision after terminating in the inferior temporal lobe and forming the ventral pathway. That is why when we discussed the lesions of the parietal lobe and the temporal lobe last time, so when there was a lesion of the parietal lobe, since it is a dorsal pathway, it resulted in formation of the visual field defect pi on the sky, and in the temporal lobe lesion there was a formation of visual field defect pi on the floor. Now finally, when the analysis of the visual image occurs, there are mainly three types of cells: simple cell, complex cells and hypercomplex cells. Simple cells detect the orientation of bar and line. Complex cells are responsible for the movement of bar and line, and hypercomplex cells detect angle like L. Now these simple cells will project to complex cells and the complex cells to hypercomplex cells. Simple cells are mainly present in layer 4. Complex cells surround the simple cells. So they are majority of the complex cells are present in layer 2, 3 and 5 of the visual cortex. And then we have the hypercomplex cells. So this is the ocular dominance column. So as we had discussed in the visual cortex, there are various dominance column. So darker area shows that this area is mainly representing the image from one particular eye, and the lighter area shows that it is representing the image formation from the other eye. That is why we get this tigeroid type of pattern, and this is occurring because of the ocular dominance. Thank you. That's all for today.